welcome. This is the Market Wrap. I am Agam Vakil. The benchmark indices continue the march forward with the Nifty making a new life high. At this point in time, we're seeing gains of as much as 41 odd points on the Nifty, advancing at closing at around 11,319, and the gains are coming in on the back of Bharti Airtel. That's up nearly 6%, followed by ICICI Bank, State Bank of India and Axis Bank. Also the lead gainers, the reason behind which we've seen substantial growth and gains in the Nifty banking index today. Ultratech Cement and Mahindra not too far behind. We have weakness in the HDFC Twins, HDFC Bank along with HDFC bearing down on the index, followed by Infosys and HCL Technologies, which are also down now. At this point in time, some profit taking finally coming through in Bajaj Finance as well. On the broader markets, well, we do have 3 gainers for 2 losers when it comes to the NSE 500. In terms of gainers, we have Texmaco Rail, General Insurance, Adani Power, Bank of Baroda, of course, moving up as much as 10.5%. We'll talk about that in a little more detail in a bit. Navkar Corp and BEML also advancing in trade. Substantial longs building in BML in the future space. JBF Industries on the losing end, Johnson Controls. Quest Corp also continues grind lower, followed by Jubilant Life Sciences, and Info Edge India also down by as much as 4%. That said, let's get in a perspective on the markets at this point now. And of course, before that, let's address Tech Mahindra earnings right now. And where we do see net profits at around 897 odd crores against 798 crores. This is of course on a year-on-year basis. We're going to have to wait and watch for your earnings when it comes to your margins as well as your top line, especially given that we're expecting some seasonal weakness in Comviva. At this point, well, the street at this is considering keeping an eye on your telecom space. Of course, the commentary coming in from when you will start seeing 5G activations coming through, and that said, we're also keeping an eye on several other factors like LCC and the turnaround there, especially given the fact that the company has taken a right sizing in this particular subsidiary. At this time, we're seeing the revenues stand at around 8,208, and it's largely in line with street expectations. When it comes to profitability, again, 898 crores, just a notch above street expectations. And once again, it seems like operational not at an operational level, we are largely seeing it, a move in tandem with what we were expecting with respect to the Bloomberg consensus. So we'll watch out for what the management has to say with respect to Tech Mahindra. But as I was mentioning earlier, let's bring in a market perspective. Let's bring in our markets editor, Neeraj Shah, who's joining us to give us an idea about how he is reading the cues in the markets. Neeraj.
Well, strong day today, despite the world not looking all that strong. I believe in large portion thanks to banks and Reliance Industries. But Asia wasn't the strongest. Europe isn't the strong. While we shut shop, the Dow futures not exactly setting the stage on fire. Nasdaq in a spate of small bother on Friday because of the tech earnings that have come out. So the world is not as happy a place, short term. So we might have, let's see, some bit of cooling off or paling down from what we've been used to off late. But but the banking numbers really helping. The market breadth, Agam, has been positive, and more importantly, I think the last 7 out of the 8 sessions, we've seen positive FI flows coming in. A case in Friday's session as well. Doubt that today could be much different, looking at the nature of the buying. And small caps and mid caps are flying around. The mid cap index was flat, the small cap index was a 0.5%, but the market breadth was 2:1 in favor of the advances on the NSE. That speaks volumes about the kind of buying that's happening at the broader end of the spectrum. So the going is good, touch wood from a bull's perspective. Let's see how long does it last. But the world just seemed a slightly iffy place, so we might not have the same gains tomorrow as we had today. But let's not make any predictions.
All right, well, we keep an eye on some of those factors. Neeraj, thank you for joining us and getting us this perspective. But Sumit Bagadia, our technical expert today, is keeping an eye on these levels when it comes to the Nifty. This is what he's saying. Listen in.
Markets are looking good to me. We have been giving continuously buy call in Nifty from lower levels. Now immediately looking at the chart, it seems that the same upside move will continue, and from here on what we can see is Nifty moving up till 11,400, 11,500 levels. Those who have taken long positions in Nifty at lower levels, they can hold on the existing long positions. if anyone wants to initiate a fresh long positions in Nifty, then they can go ahead and initiate at the current market price. Any dip from present level should be used as buying opportunity. For a trading perspective, one should maintain stop loss somewhere at around 11,250 levels, and on positional side, 11,200 is a good support. 11,200 is good support for the upside target of 11,400 and 11,500 levels in Nifty. Also, buying Nifty is looking good to me. We can see move till 28,000 or 28,200 levels. For a trading perspective, one can initiate long positions at the current market price with a stop loss to be placed at 27,600 on lower side for the upside target of 28 and 28,200 levels.
Let's then shift focus to some of the key banking counters and financial counters that were buzzing on the back of earnings, and we have Shraddha Babla who's joining us first to give us an update on how HDFC's quarter has panned out. Shraddha.
So Agam, while dividend income from HDFC Bank that was booked in this quarter as compared to being booked in the second quarter in FY18 actually boosted the net profit growth to 54%. Otherwise, overall, as far as the business growth momentum is concerned, the trends are largely in line with what we have seen in the previous few quarters. So business growth, the growth in the loan book net of loans sold came in at 19%. The spreads remained within the management's guided range of 2.28%. Gross NPAs came in at 1.18% as compared to 1.12%, but that is on a year-on-year basis. But overall, with respect to the key trends, the numbers seem to be largely in line with what the street was expecting. The stock was already at an all-time high, so we did see some small downtick on that.
Right, Shraddha, but the other bank from the public sector space did very well in trade today was Bank of Baroda.
Right, so Bank of Baroda reported, profit which beat estimates. So there was a net profit of 528 crores as compared to a huge 3,100 crore loss that we had seen in the March quarter. In fact, this also beat estimates of about 166 crores or so. That is on account of a decline in the provisioning number. Even if you look at the asset quality, we did see some improvement on an absolute basis. The gross NPA number declined by 1% sequentially. Even slippages for the quarter were restricted at 4.4% versus the 6% plus sort of number that we have seen in the past 6 quarters. So hopes that some sort of relief is around the corner. Lifted shares of not just Bank of Baroda but the entire PSU pack. Also remember that they had seen a significant underperformance. So any sort of improvement will lead to a big delta for these stocks, and not surprising to see how Bank of Baroda reacted.
Absolutely, and we've seen the entire public sector index move up quite substantially. Thank you, Shraddha, for joining us and giving us those details. And along with a lot of these banking counters, we'll be watching out for how the rest of the market also pans out, especially given that the advanced decline ratio has now turned towards the positive, and of course we're seeing some gains coming in back. But with that, it's a wrap on the markets, but lots more lined up, so stay tuned in a Bloomberg Quint.